Hi guys, this is going to be a video about decomposition reactions. So decomposition reactions are quite varied. There's lots of different kinds of decomposition reactions, but they all follow kind of the same general basic formula, right? The general form of a decomposition reaction is you take something quite complicated, so A, B, and you break it up into little parts. Okay, A plus B. All right. Generally, AB here, that's going to be some sort of salt or binary compound that is composed of two elements. All right. And so there's a lot of different kinds of decomposition reactions, and depending on the identity of the salts, depending on the type of binary compound it is, it breaks down in different ways, right? So we'll need to figure out which ways they break down. So, for example, if we had sodium carbonate, well, one of the things that kind of marks the decomposition reaction is normally this requires heat. Okay, so this is the symbol for heat. All right. So, in the presence of heat, sodium carbonate is going to decompose, right? And how does it decompose? Well, we'll go to the chemical information sheet and we see that carbonates, like sodium carbonate, produce carbon dioxide and the corresponding oxide compound, right? Carbon dioxide and the corresponding oxide compound. So, carbon dioxide, that's a gas, plus the corresponding oxide compound. So an oxide compound, that's the combination of the oxide ion, O2 minus, and what's left, well, you have this sodium ion here. So with this kind of reaction, we want to take a look at ions again, right? So Na plus. So sodium oxide is going to be the combination of sodium plus and oxygen 2 minus, right? And so to balance those charges out, you can cross the charges, right? That means there are two sodiums, so Na2, and one oxygen, Na2O. Okay, so heating up sodium carbonate will result in carbon dioxide and sodium oxide. All right. So that's the general form of a decomposition reaction. It forms some compound plus the corresponding oxide. There are other kinds of decompositions besides carbonates, right? So for example, if we had magnesium sulfate, in the presence of heat, right? That's a good sign that this is a decomposition reaction. Well, we have a sulfate compound. If we take a look, sulfates produce sulfur trioxide and oxide compounds. So we produce sulfur trioxide and the oxide compound. So that's Mg2 plus, O2 minus, so MgO. Okay. If we take a look at hydroxides, hydroxides produce water and oxide compounds. So for example, if we had, let's say potassium hydroxide in the presence of heat, this will form, right, water and the oxide compound. So water, H2O, is a gas, plus the corresponding oxide. So again, it's K plus, O2 minus, combine them together to form K2O as a solid. Okay, I should mention that this is solid as well. The special thing about decomposition reactions is there's a whole class of compounds called hydrates. Okay, there's a whole class of compound called hydrates. So for example, sodium hydroxide dot 2H2O. This is what's known as a hydrate. Okay, this is known as sodium hydroxide dihydrate. Right? This hydrate word here means water. And so what happens here is water is adsorbed, right? Adsorbed to the surface of sodium hydroxide. That is, there are water molecules sticking onto the surface of the sodium hydroxide salt. Okay? So, in the presence of heat, what that will do is it will remove that water. And so you get two water molecules, right? Two dihydrates, and that'll be a gas, and the sodium hydroxide by itself. Okay? Sodium hydroxide by itself. So the sodium hydroxide is now, well, it's just sodium hydroxide, but now we call it anhydrous sodium hydroxide. Okay? So dihydrate, trihydrate, right? You put this prefix with the number of waters there is, and then it's anhydrous. Okay. One final type of reaction, right? Those are binary compounds. So let's say we had ClF in the presence of heat, right? ClF will decompose into its component elements. This is a binary compound, right? It's composed of just two different elements. So chlorine 2, remember it's a Hunkelbrief element, plus F2. All right. So that covers all of the decomposition reactions. All right, take care.